In today's video, I make an epic poster based on HBO's new TV series, Last of Us. Get this shit, I've got a poster to make. Yo, my beautiful people, and welcome back to another video. Clickers walking about my flat like they own the place. And yes, today's poster is based on the legendary game Last of Us and also HBO's new TV series. So without further ado, alright, let's get to it. So here I'm starting off creating the background. I don't really have a process. It's all a bit chaotic. Creative chaos is what I like, or controlled chaos is what I like to call it. Before I throw my characters in, my assets, I want to create an environment to put them in. So the general vibe and the sort of the color theme for Last of Us is usually like brown tones and grays. It's quite desaturated. You know, you've got like woodlands, buildings, a lot of grass, and yeah, it's kind of got that feel. So yeah, I'm trying to go with that initially, and then I'm gonna add my own spin to it and just take it from there. And yeah, here I'm just copying over the other side because parts of this foreground were missing. I got these stock images from DeviantArt, and if you guys haven't seen the series yet, let alone play the game, absolutely flipping epic. So I saw the first series, the HBO one, and that's it. Got this idea, thought now's a perfect time. So yeah, make sure you guys jump in on that because you're missing out. So here I'm slowly layering buildings. So like the general rule to make things look further away in like my style in Photoshop and in general is the further something is away from the human eye, the less color it has, so it becomes more desaturated. The less contrast it has, so it generally becomes lighter, and the less details it has. So as you can see, the far buildings are quite faded, and also haze plays a big part in making things look quite far away. So like fog, clouds, haze, whatever you want to call it. And here are stacked two buildings on top of each other. They don't blend perfectly, but they don't need to because imperfections, they will get covered up. So, but yeah, here I'm just building the environment, and there is no plan really. I just kind of fluke it till I find something that looks good, you know? Like we all know what we like. We don't always know what we want. And that's just, you know, me with Photoshop designs. Like I know I want the poster, right? I don't know exactly how I'm going to go about it. I usually jump into the design blindly. I've got my kind of style. So yeah, and the hardest thing about finding stock imagery for new like TV series is that there isn't stock photography to use unless I pull it straight from the TV. It's just not good enough. Yeah, for like a lot of other things, I could just go in DeviantArt or like Envato Elements, find something up there, but these are like unique characters. So a way around it was finding figurines, because all I really need is just their body shape. Yeah, what I'm gonna do is like a little face transplant in them, a little head transplant. So yeah, you'll see the process. And I know what you're thinking here, what the hell's happened to Ellie? Like she looks like she's part of the infected, but what really happened was I was blurring the face out, saved it, closed down Photoshop, opened it, and I was stuck with that. So, all right, so I thought I'd do a layer breakdown for you guys because you guys would appreciate it a bit more rather than me doing the whole time lapse and, you know, it just going by like a blur, because this took me absolutely flipping ages, and I want you guys to see the layers that went into this. we got the actor's head, Bella Ramsey, and I've already positioned it, so you can just make it opaque, position it accordingly, and I've already got it right. So I masked out what I needed, and it's not only just blending the head with the body, you can do it the other way around, right? So let's start from the bottom. Added a little contrast to the figurine, because the difference between like a photograph and a figurine, photograph is always going to have more details, right? The human skin compared to like a bit of plastic, imperfections, textures, that's what makes it look real, photorealistic. We need to add in a bit more details, and that's what that is. And if you look at Ellie's face, she looks like she hasn't had a bath for days, even weeks, God knows. Maybe she smells a little. It's the apocalypse, so maybe that doesn't matter. But yeah, so you can see she's, got a bit of dirt on her face, been through it, obviously to do with the environment. But if you look at the figure, absolutely clean. The figure has had a shower and spotless, but we don't want that. We want these to blend harmoniously. So what I did, I threw in a bit of dirt. As you can see on the hands and the neck, I dirtied the figure up a little. On the bottom you can see. Here it might look a bit too much, but you can see that's kind of what was needed, that patchy kind of dirt. So I threw in some shadows into the figure. What else? More shadows, some highlights, because you can see the side of Ellie's face, the left side, there are some strong highlights coming from a light source. In this poster, the light source will be the moon. So, and here you go, some hue and saturation. Is that hue and saturation? It's like shadows. Maybe I'll just desaturate it quite a bit. More highlights, more rim light. All right, now we come to the head. So yes, I had already masked out part of Ellie's head, given it some levels, exposure, more exposure, painted in some light into the right areas, some more exposure, hue and saturation, and that chunk of hair that's missing. For someone who hasn't got hair, I do know my stuff when it comes to hair, especially the digital kind. So, boom, there you go. We just create a hairstyle. More levels to the hair. Add a little green tint to it, because that's what the original has. Because it's always best to match the original, and then overall you adjust everything as one. Just makes life easier. Darken certain bits. And let's just go through this quickly. Here, there's some color added, so there are some highlights added to the ends of her hair. More hue and saturation overall. I think there was a bit of dirt. Yeah, oh, this is it. There's some neck light. And again, boom. That's what sells it. Enough. I thought the highlight was too much on the side of her face. Some more skin texture. And the hair I will save for later in the video. Now that Ellie's head has been sorted, we're gonna swap over Joel's head and get Pedro on board. Now this was a lot easier than Ellie, so I'm gonna just let the time lapse be and just talk through it rather than do a layer breakdown like I did with Ellie. So yeah, easy cut out. The hair is just, it's always a pain to cut out, but I'll show you what I do and I'll fix it. So yeah, just cleaning up the edges. So make sure there's nothing left except for the head and the neck. The neck just helps with positioning. Sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's not. In this case, it just slots in perfectly. And I gave Pedro an afro. But we'll sort it out. And he looks like he's been bench pressing zombies. I mean, look how thick that neck is. Yeah, this guy definitely power lifts. Yes, and that neck looks like it's a clicker or part of the infected, but bear with me. It's already pretty much color matched, so that was an amazing fluke. Yeah, throwing some shadows. Yeah, his neck had to be reduced, and hey presto, there you go. Pretty much spot on. I mean, the lighting's a little off, the hair as well, but I mean, we're like 80% there. Yeah, I mean, Pedro in the series, he does an epic job. All right, so we're throwing shadows. Build it up bit by bit, as you do, bit of blend if. Make sure the shadows are in the right spot. And you can see on the left side of Ellie's face, there is a strong highlight. And I need to do the same with Joel. Here I'll throw in some rim light. It's just like a 1 or 2 pixel stroke that I apply to the whole subject, and I delete accordingly. So here you can see me throwing in some highlights. That moon is shining. It's bright. So yeah, trying to match Ellie's highlight. Make sure it's highlighting the hair as well. I mean, I will go into detail with the hair. I mean, it doesn't look too bad there, but it just doesn't look realistic yet. Ellie's just looks like it's cut out at the moment, but that will also be fixed. Yeah, this is where chuck in the sky to give it that moody look. For throwing some sunshine, it's just gonna look like a beautiful day. But this is Last of Us. We need to make this look eerie, moody, and apocalyptic. Sandstorms and shit. And yeah, this is where I added a lot of haze. Some of these buildings are just a bit too clean cut, so I'm just, you know, adding in a little destruction, breaking them apart, making them look like the other buildings. Adding in some haze now, fog, which obviously makes things look further in the distance, which is what I'm going for here. Oh yeah, also I threw in some zombies, as you can see in the back, and I also changed the ground. So forgot to mention that earlier. That's because the ground had like cars that were the same size as Joel's foot, so the proportions were so off. And I just think there was just too much going on the ground, and this floor works so much better. So here I'm just stylizing everything, going for a particular look, and chucking in the moon. This is that light source. And I get all these images from like DeviantArt. There's a lot of free stock, so it's a great resource. One that I've been using for years. And great talent on there as well. So yeah, I mean, I cycle a lot through blending modes because, you know, I know what they do, but sometimes you might have a happy accident and create something that you wouldn't have initially thought of. So that's why, just to like increase my chances of potentially finding something better than I actually want, I'm always going through the blending modes. You got to throw in a clicker, always. I was going to make a clicker a big part of this poster, but it just wasn't working. The composition was off, so yeah, you've only got a small part today, buddy. Now this is where we sort out the hair. I actually just draw it in the end because it just works so much better. Trying to get a hairbrush, but no, I just used a 1 pixel brush. Set the pressure on my Wacom tablet, and away I went. And it came out sick. Look at it. Little wisps of hair hit by light. And look, it just looks realistic. And Pedro. Don't think Pedro likes that throw. So yeah, here we go. Throwing in some highlights. Some little strands. Because unless someone's got like plastic hair, there's always going to be like little wispy bits sticking out, no matter how much gel and mousse and hairspray you use. Yeah, just making sure they blend into the background. I mean, the shadows are off, obviously, because the light source is on the other side. So yeah, I'll fix that. Clean up any bits. But the thing is, overall, the composition, I just wasn't happy with it. I was staring at it for hours and hours and something just wasn't right. So even these guys just a little dark, like the faces, and so I fix all that. Like there's some, like, you know, I can add more depth to it, and that's what I do. So you'll see shortly. And there's the shadows. Gotta throw in the firefly symbol, huh? Graffitied. Let's call that a water tower. Or let's call that a water tower. Why not? And here's the logo, because I wanted to make this a proper poster. And take it into camera raw, add in some finishing touches, and this is the final result. Well, there you have it, a Last of Us poster. Let me know what you guys think. Drop me a comment, drop me a like, and if you want to see more content like this, you know what to do. Subscribe. Until then, see you in the next video. Peace.